For this assignment, the step-by-step instructions for the implementation goes as follows, right? So we have to create a virtual machine on Google Cloud Platform, or we can use any platform like AWS or GCP or any other cloud service. But we would be using GCP because we have a $50 free credit for this course that we had received on the Google Cloud Platform, right? And then we have to configure the auto scaling policies, and we have to set up the IAM, which is the identity access, and the firewall rules. So get to the GCP platform and go to the home page. So we'll be creating a new project in case you don't have a new project. And then, so the first thing would be setting up the IAM. So the identity and access management. So the identity and access management, within which we'll be creating a service account, right? So this is nothing but like a badge for our VM, I would say, something like kind of an ID card for the VMs that we'll be creating. Okay, here I have a VM badge already created, like one service account already created called as VM worker badge. So this can be created something like this. You can give a name here, say VM assignment badge or something. Alright, so that would be the service account ID as well. You can just create and continue. You can just leave the permissions and principal access as optional parameters. Okay, I already have a badge created here, and the next step would be to create the firewall. So now the firewall, we have the firewall inside the VPC network tab, right? So I have a firewall rule already configured here, which is nothing but allow HTTP SSH, wherein I have the IP ranges provided as 0.0.0/0. This is nothing but allow traffic from the external internet, and I am allowing TCP ports 22 and 80. Right? How do you do that? I'll show you. So we have to just create a new firewall rule, wherein just name the firewall rule, and the specific target tags, we have to just create a target tag, which is something like a tag that you'll be using when you're going to create the VM, right? So that is how the VM will map the firewall rules using these tags. And in the IP4V range, we would be giving 0.0.0 /0, right? And then we would be allowing the TCP ports 20 and 80, and yes, so that's all. So more or less that is how you create a firewall rule along with a tag. So if you see here, the tag goes like I'm not sure if tag would be displayed here. Okay, fine. So right, so the next item would be to create the instance template. Okay, so now instance template, I've already searched for it, so it's coming here. So instant template is nothing but the template with which the auto scaling, say for example you want to scale the number of pods from 3 to 5, and now Google Cloud Platform has to know how to build a new instance, right? So for that we need a template. So I already created a template here called web server template, and you can create a new template by clicking on this create new instance template. Okay, and name the instance template, let it be E2. It's a low cost computing platform, right? And then you can even actually select E2 micro, because it consumes basically less credits. Say if you click on E2 micro, that's a monthly estimate of just $7. As we said, we already have a credit of $50 for this course. And if you say you want a bigger project, say high CPU here, if you click on E2 high CPU, it's going to be around $37 per month. So that's how you select the platform. And then so here in the identity and access management, you select the badge that you already created, the first step, right? We created a service account, so you select the service account, you allow HTTP traffic in the advanced options. In the networking options, you give the network tag that you already created, right? So we created a tag in the earlier step when we created a firewall rule. So and yeah, pretty much that gives you the basic setup for creating an instance template. The next step is the actual main step, wherein we go to the instance groups and create an instance group. So this instance group is nothing but where we'll be creating a stateless instance group. Okay, so this instance group is nothing but this is what manages the entire cluster. Okay, so we want 3 pods or 5 pods, or when to scale up, when to scale down. So that is all defined here, and once we click on create this instance group, the the application will start coming up, the first pod will start coming up. Now let's see how to create an instance group. So I name the instance group as, say, web server group, wherein I'm selecting the template that we already created in the previous step. So that was a E2 micro that we selected, like the template that we created, right? So on basis on this only, the group will know what pod to create or how to bring up the server, right? And now the defaults, locations and everything could be there. And in the auto scaling, you have to configure the auto scaling as minimum number of instances as 1, and the maximum number of instances, it's by default 10, but you can reduce it to 3, just for the sake of experimenting here, right? And the CPU utilization is 60%. That is, say for example, in the first pod, if the CPU utilization crosses 60%, that is more than 60% of the CPU is utilized, like the RAM and everything, so now the next pod will start getting created. Now if both the pods, both instances, if the CPU utilization is going to exceed 60%, then the third instance will get created. But that is all the maximum number of instances that can get created because of this particular configuration that we put in here, right? And yes, you can just keep the defaults here and you can create. Now it will start creating the instance group, and you can look at the status here, right? So the first group is created and defined, then the first instance will start coming up, and we'll look at that. So it's still creating the group. It'll take at least a minute or two for this to happen in general. So we're just waiting for the group to get created. Probably I'll just pause the video here and okay, yeah, cool, got it. So instance group is resizing. See, you look at the message, it's 0 instances scaling to 1, because minimum number of instances we have defined as 1, right? There has to be at least 1 instance that will get created. Cool, instance group is ready now. Okay, so now if you want to look at the instances, just type in VM instances and go to the compute engine. So now you can see that there is one instance that is created, right? So this was from the web server group. There is one instance that is created, the instance is running, and this is the external IP address 34.46.91.129. So this can be accessed from anywhere from the internet. You see, you click on that external IP, right? You continue to site, yeah. So this was nothing but a simple shell script that we gave during the creation of the template, right? So now when you hit this IP, you're going to get this hello message. So it's a very simple HTML page that we created and put as the script when creating the template. So now, because see, now that the instance is running, which means my credits are getting utilized, right? Now after this is just for the assignment purpose, so I want to stop this entire instance. But the problem is, if you just click on here and if you're going to stop or delete the instance, it's not going to delete, because the group will make sure that is at least one instance that keeps running, right? Now what we have to do is instead go back to the instance group, instance groups. Now click on the entire instance group and delete it completely. Okay, so this is asking for a confirmation. And why do we want to delete this? Because the instance group will make sure at least one instance is up, right? So to make sure the entire VM is down, we have to delete the entire instance group, not just the instance. That makes sure the credit is not getting exhausted, because we just have $50 credit for the entirety of this course. So we should not exhaust them before we complete the other assignments parts.